So hello all and welcome. So how y'all doing today? I hope you're all doing good, fine and well. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. I'm doing much better now that I saw this article that shows a major decline in young men identifying as feminists. This can only be good news because, of course, a feminist just means you're feminine. You're for woman. You're for more femininity. You are for essentially championing the female aspect of human nature over the male, even though feminism is supposedly about balance and equality. Equality would be a balance. And of course, we all know that feminism, I shouldn't even be saying that word, get me shadow banned. Feminism, which also probably is within the algorithm now, and the algorithm identifies feminism as well, so we got to think of something else to say. So F-ism, ism, oh, that's too much work, is anything but equality. It's all about the superiority, the supremacy of the female, of the feminine, more specifically, which is bad. That's anything but balance. And of course, when you have an imbalance, you end up with chaos, especially when you're dealing with the feminine. The feminine is chaotic, the masculine is ordered, and together, in balance, they work to create a productive and balanced and positive world to live within. The order takes that which is chaotic and gives it order. So the order needs something to order, and that is the chaos. But of course, if you have no order and just chaos, you're simply courting destruction. So anyway, let's check this story out, shall we? So thank goodness men are deciding to avoid that symbol on that guy's hand, the mark of the beast, which would be what you are embracing if you are a man adopting a more feminine mindset and personality, which is what you're doing when you are a male calling yourself a feminist. How many women out there are calling themselves masculinists? None? Right. Because they recognize all the benefits that actually come with being a female, and they know deep down, probably not even so deep down, that being a man, being masculine, being masculine as a woman is actually a great thing, but being a man, no. Isn't that interesting, though? Yeah. Being masculine and male, oh, that's bad, that's toxic. Meanwhile, women are ever more adopting masculine traits, and that's seen as a good thing, as a positive thing, just not for men to do. Because then women would have to compete with fully self-actualized real men. Can't have that. Let's hobble these mofos by turning them into eunuchs and having these men embrace their feminine sides. Yeah. Makes the woman more able to compete and actually beat men out there in the workplace and all that. Not that they really need that kind of advantage. They've got all the advantages they need in the form of affirmative action, and companies are twice as likely to hire a woman, even if she doesn't have all the same qualifications as a man. So yeah, it's not like they need an edge like being more masculine than men. Doesn't hurt, though, and it's not real hard these days to find plenty of women that are more masculine than today's men. But apparently there's some pushback, because more young men are not identifying as feminists. And that's a good thing. So, a new study determined that most, major decline, most Gen Z men do not identify as feminists. The report, published Thursday by the Survey Center on American Life, interviewed 5,000 participants with an emphasis on young adults. Not a lot of those out there. Got a lot of 18-year-old, 20, 25-year-old adolescents. They're very immature, so I don't know that I would call them adults, although they are technically, chronologically speaking. but in the ways that matter. Not really. To document how teenage experiences have changed over generations. It found a significant decrease in the number of Gen Z versus millennial men who identify as feminists. Why would a man identify as a feminist? I don't get this. Why would you be for female? I mean, I know, okay, they believe that it's some movement to grant women equality, but even if they believe that, why would they identify as feminists? We want to be strong allies and get poon. Can't get poon if you're not a male feminist. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, got a LARP as a, supporter of women's rights. Can anyone name any rights that women have, by the way, or that men have that women don't? Of course, we can name plenty that women have that men don't have, like being automatically believed, being able to destroy a man's life just by uttering some words. Among baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Z, the latter generation represented the largest divide between sexes when it came to views on feminism. Yeah, imagine that. Guys are getting ever less rewards for identifying as feminists. They're still being lambasted and castigated for being men, and it's happening ever more. So why would you identify as a feminist? 61% of Gen Z women versus just 43% of the generation's men agree that they're feminists. As for millennials, a nearly equal number of men and women, 52% and 54%, oh my God, felt that the feminist label applied to them. Yeah, feminist label. Meanwhile, mentally, all women in the West, practically all Western women are feminists. I don't care how they identify. The ones that don't identify, they've just gotten savvier because they know that a lot of men don't want feminist women. So they're still feminists up here, but they just don't identify as such. Gen X men see eye to eye with male Gen Zers, and identical 43% of men in that bracket call themselves feminists. Pussies. Compared to 49% of that generation's women. Of all four generations polled, Gen X saw the lowest percentage of female feminists. A slightly higher 50% of female baby boomers said they identified as such, while just 38% of men agreed. An interesting wrinkle, some men across all generations admitted that feminism has made the world a better place. Has it, though? I mean, if they're identifying as feminists, they would probably believe that, but has feminism made the world a better place? I mean, I suppose it depends on how you're defining better, but has it objectively made it better? I don't know. All the studies that I've seen in regards to happiness have shown a steady decline in women's happiness. So if you're using the metric of happiness to define whether or not the world's better, then it's objectively not, because by every objective measurement, and there have been tons of studies and surveys done, women are less happy. So I don't know how by that metric the world is a better place. I don't know. But did not identify as feminist. So even the dudes say, see what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, that indoctrination is so strong that even the men that don't identify as feminist think that feminism was a good thing. I'd like to know how. Could you explain it to me? Why? Because women got the vote? That's not really a good thing, because they don't do the required work to have it. You see, men didn't have some, like, privilege, right? Well, they didn't have something that they, you see, the word privilege is so confusing these days, because when I was growing up, a privilege wasn't just something you got by lieu of gender or anything like that, or race. It was based on merit. You did something to earn it. Like, you have this privilege if you do this. If you don't do that, you don't get this privilege. Privileges, when I was growing up, the meaning of a privilege was something that you earned. And there's always been the definition, really, until very recently, I think, because at least that's the way I was brought up. You know, like if I get to stay up till 10 o'clock, if I do my chores and everything, if I don't, I got to go to bed earlier, that kind of thing. A privilege was always based on, it was an incentive of some kind. Like, men didn't have the right to vote because they were men. They had the right to vote because they went to war, because they were subject to conscription. And by the way, for the majority of America's history, most men didn't have the right to vote. It was only landowners that had the right to vote, and the majority of men didn't own land. Men, by and large, only got to vote not that long before women. What was it, like 86, 89 years or something? So this idea that men somehow throughout the majority of human history had to vote just like women is totally, completely absurd. And even then, when they got to vote, it was based upon them having to meet certain criteria. They didn't just get it. Oh, you're a man? Vote. You get to vote. You're a woman? No vote for you. No. They had to do things to earn it. They had to put their life on the line. They had to have some skin in the game. So, how has it made the world a better place? You've given people a say who don't actually have to put their lives on the line. How is that a good thing? I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing at all. Give people a stake who don't have any skin in the game? Is that good? Once again, this disconnect was particularly pronounced in Generation Z. I don't even know what these mean anymore. I mean, I know what boomers are. I think I'm not quite a boomer. I'm a little too young for that, but not by much. But what's this Gen Z? I don't know. I guess it's the most recent generation. 69% of female Gen Zers agreed with the sentiment. It's, of course, more than ever, because more than ever, those are the women that are getting the short-term monetary benefits. Of course. Yeah. Of course, even if they, start to experience the consequences of feminism, they won't blame it on feminism. They'll blame men. While only 52% of men felt the same. Overall, women were significantly more likely than men, 63 versus 53, to credit feminism with bettering the world. So I guess the default of this article, the writer just seems to be implying that, well, that's just the default position. And anybody that doesn't see that must be a fool. How can they not see that feminism has benefited the world? Well, can somebody tell me how it's benefited the world? Because I don't see it. Women got a vote. They got to vote in a game that they have no skin in. They don't pay any taxes effectively. So they don't vote for policies that are more fiscally conservative because it makes no difference, because they're not paying in any way. It has no effect on them. So, they vote for oftentimes irresponsible, emotionally charged issues in the wrong way, in a not fiscally conservative way. They're not required to sign up for the draft. And a lot of you out there could be saying, well, they can't really fight as well as a man, even though that's not what people have been saying for years now. And the military runs, and they run cover, and they hide the results of tests comparing men to women, and they try to put the women through the same tests as the men, and the women fail utterly. So instead of amending their policies, maybe rethinking some of the things they do, they just dumb down and water down the tests so that women can pass, but they don't have to meet the same standard as men. I don't know how that's bettering the world. I really don't know. How is that bettering the world? I don't know how that's better for the world. So we got people voting who have no skin in the game. We have people voting for where to allocate money, like for foreign wars and such. And they're not going to be called to task for a draft to have to fight in those wars. And they don't pay taxes. I don't know how this is a good thing. So the report found that Gen Z was removed from other generations in more ways than feminism. They played outside less often. Not a good thing. When I was a kid, man, I remember we would be outside running around, having dirt clod battles, and that's some dangerous stuff. You think throwing snowballs at each other because a snowball might have a rock in it is dangerous. Try throwing dirt clods at each other. That's real dangerous, yo. I mean, yeah. The only entertainment we got was the kind we created for ourselves physically. Kids today have it easy. They don't go outside. If they want to be entertained, they just push a button. They don't have to create their own entertainment. That's why I have a real pet peeve with people that expect others or expect outside influences, outside sources to provide their entertainment for them. Really annoys me. That's your responsibility. Don't expect that of others. They played outside less often, had fewer romantic experiences. Well, duh, you're going out less. That romantic chemistry, that spark, that attraction that could be created by body language, by one-on-one interaction, by a sense of humor and a good personality is gone. Replaced by swipe left, swipe right. So relationship criteria are a lot more superficial, and so women are going to be more picky. They're going to make the decisions based upon more superficial criteria, so you're going to have less romantic experiences. And of course, you know, the plethora of options afforded to women these days give them the illusion of plenty. Anyway, and we're unlikely to hold part-time jobs in the youth or be religiously affiliated. Yet that was like a rite of passage when I was a kid. You would like get a job. Like I think my first job I was like a dishwasher. Like I was 14 or something. And then construction. I mean, you worked, all right? And your parents made you do chores. And if they were smart parents, they would pay you an allowance to teach you the value of money, and that if you work, you're going to get rewarded. People don't do that no more. Now they want to be their kids' friends and their buddies, and they want to make life as easy as possible for them. When actually you should be doing the exact opposite as a parent. You should be making life as difficult as humanly possible so that those kids are ready for anything. Their tech-heavy upbringing, too, led to different views and beliefs. Yeah. And making them more woke and less acclimated to how reality actually works. Until they're forced to get a real job, and then they bitch and moan and complain. Whether social media or video games, technology has played a much more significant role in their adolescence than any previous generation, the study reads. You're just pissed that the opposition is also using the same technology you have used to indoctrinate kids, to deprogram them so that they are less feminist. Yeah. As technological and societal changes accelerate, the differences between generations will grow, making them more relevant. That's why they want to control the internet. That's why the government right now is passing laws. In fact, I believe there's one law going through Congress right now that is going to give the government 100% total control of the internet in the name of equity. Yeah, they know how powerful it is. And this decrease in the amount of men that identify as feminist has a lot to do with that proliferation of technology. More options in regards to information. People are able to access more info, and they're able to become more red-pilled. So what do you have? Less men identifying as feminists. And we can't have that, because what is the most prevalent characteristic of the feminine? Well, females are emotional. They often make decisions based upon emotion. And that, to a large extent, is why the powers that be want men to become more feminine and embrace a feminist mindset, and to eschew the masculine and see it as toxic and evil, and see everything associated with the masculine as evil and toxic. Like, being stoic and not emotional. No, you should be ever more emotional. Of course, the more emotional a man is, the less rational he's going to be. And a man, at his core, he's really not equipped to be an emotional being like a woman, because the very biological basis of his being is less geared to dealing with emotions than that of a woman. So you make a man more emotional, you make him far less rational and reasonable and more emotional, and then you can control him through those emotions. That's why they target women, by the way, and not men in regards to controlling culture and the course that Western countries take. Women are easier to control, and through the women, they control the men. Yeah, so this article was just, bemoaning the fact that their competition also are able to access the kiddies and deprogram them from the evil death cult that is feminism. Oh, yeah, as technological and societal changes accelerate, the differences between generations will grow, making them more relevant. I sure hope so. We might actually end up with diversity of thought again, where you're not persecuted for not spreading or believing in the message. Yeah, this is just the latest study to set Gen Z apart from previous generations. A UCLA report found that the generation was far less interested in seeing sex depicted in TV shows and movies than other generations. Less hedonistic? Meaning we're less able to control them, the people, through their appetites? We're less able to manipulate people with bread and circuses? Oh no! Can't have that! Recently, a one poly survey determined that despite being a bit prudish, Gen Z takes Halloween more seriously than millennials. Okay, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Seems kind of out of place, that observation. But anyway, so there you go. There you go. Young men coming up are ever less likely to identify as feminists. And I think that's probably a good thing. No, I think that definitely is a good thing. Why would you as a man champion female rights when women have more rights than you do? What the hell? You're just propping them up on a pedestal and putting them above you and giving them greater power than you, which means they now have control over you and the course that the culture takes. Not a good thing. What happened to equality? Why are you championing someone who essentially already has more rights and privileges than you do? All you got to do is look at the courts, all the best jobs, who's in prison, to know that women have it much better than us men do. I don't know if you've ever been out there and gotten into a fight on the street, but if a dude hits a broad, he's going to be automatically swarmed and attacked. Like locusts swarming a field of corn and beaten down. But if a woman hits a man, people will just laugh and do nothing. And this dynamic exists in every area of society, every echelon, every hierarchical point of society. Women are at a higher point. They have more considerations. It's easier for them to get into school. It's easier for them to get a job. They have to do less at that job. Let's be totally, completely honest. It's much more difficult to fire women. They have all the cushiest jobs. I mean, if you look at all the most difficult jobs there are, there's practically no women in them. When was the last time you saw a female plumber? I've never seen a female plumber. And by the way, if a woman showed up at my house and I needed a plumber and it was a female plumber, I would say, no, thank you. Well, I mean, maybe if I had to pay like a service fee or something, like then I would be, forced to let this person work on my pipes because, well, they showed up and now I'm beholden to the plumbing company to pay a service call fee. But if I went to like a mechanic and there was a female mechanic, no freaking way, because I know that she's probably not going to be as good as a man. It's just that simple. Men are better at these kind of things. Now, that's not to say that there can't be good women mechanics. Of course there can. There's exceptions to every rule. But generally speaking, women are not good at these kind of jobs. And they avoid them like the plague. And they can. So just think about it. Women are stealing all the best jobs from men. They're allowed to steal the best jobs. And women are 50% of the population. Yet they seem to make up the majority of office jobs. Like 147 of America's 150 biggest cities, they make more money than men. But somehow, they're 1/5 as likely to be the victims of violent crime. They get the majority of alimony. It's some crazy number. They get custody of the kid. Is it more than 80% of the time? They receive like 96% of all the alimony. Their word is law. Their word is truth. While your word, you got to prove it. But they don't have to prove anything. Then just say something and your life is destroyed. Meanwhile, you men out there think this needs to be championed? What are you, nuts? And I think this is the kind of information and more that men are stumbling upon because of the free and open internet that we have that isn't so free and isn't so open, and it's going to become more essentially controlled and less free and less open if people don't wake up. But of course they're being distracted by all these foreign wars and other nonsense that's going on, which is why these foreign wars and that nonsense is going on, at least in part. And so a lot of people don't realize that their freedoms are being stolen while these distractions are happening. And yet, enough information is leaking out that less men than in decades are identifying as feminists. And I think that is a good thing. And I hope that this trend continues. I think this trend is why certain powers want to centralize the control of the internet into the hands of the government under the guise of equity. Total nonsense. By the way, equity is a communist, socialist idea. And I wish more people would recognize that equity, i.e. equality of outcome, is evil. Focuses on need, not what people deserve, doesn't focus on merit. It's kind of the exact opposite of what the left claims to be about, which is fairness. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section. Is it a good thing that ever more men are identifying as something other than feminists? Let me know what you think. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment because it's very good for the algorithm and for views. And of course, if you are interested in checking out, alt, tech, content, you can see my other sites where I post content at the top of this video. I am the Realist Philosopher on other platforms. And on that note, I am out of here. And I wish you all a good and pleasant day.